Hello and welcome back to Just Shut Up and Talk, aka part two of the two-part Isla special. Because we ran out of time yesterday, we might as well finish the interview the next day after, which I'll just quickly say we'll introduce the new thing I'm planning on doing, 2-a-week episodes, just in case, or minimum one episode a week, but two every week, hopefully. That way I can catch up on the hiatus I had. But anyways, welcome back, the Instagram singer songwriter, the Pedro Pascal museum creator, and the one and only post-apocalyptic preparer, Isla.
Hello.
Since we already done like the story time section last time, I think we should just skip straight ahead to let's talk about nerd stuff.
Yep, of
So
course.
I feel like, of course, we've done the whole discussion about like, oh, what would you do in a post-apocalyptic world, but we didn't really get into the nerdy side of
Yeah.
it. Like, so I feel like we have to talk about it now. So, name the favorite post-apocalyptic franchise for you.
The Last of Us, for sure. Like, that is the one for me.
Not because of a certain man in it.
No, no, no. I mean, he's a good added factor, but I liked it even, like, before that. Just the storyline, I think it's the best of a, like, apocalyptic storyline that I've seen. It's just the way it builds up is so good.
Me and my dad were watching it, and me and my mom constantly said to him, mushrooms are not good for you because they have no nutritional factors. And when in the TV show it was like, mushrooms are the evil ones,
Yeah.
I was like, I told you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it is like, minus the second game.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of controversy around it, obviously.
Yeah.
I just feel like the characters are some of the best I've seen in, like, development wise.
Yeah.
Like, just the way they develop throughout the story and the like connection between the characters I always
Yeah.
found to be really interesting.
Now I got introduced to it through the TV show because
Yeah.
I am a staunch Xbox guy. I've been one since I was young. We had an Xbox 360, but
Hmm.
I think Last of Us is one of the few games on PlayStation I would buy on PC just to play.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna say this. There was rumors going around they were gonna make a Last of Us 3 for the PS5, but those got canceled, so that's why they fast tracked the remaster
Yeah.
of the console game. Not even like 2 years old by that point.
I know, I think it's really interesting that they did that, but I think it would be interesting to see what concepts they would take for 3 because there's so many different avenues they could take it down, and I don't know who would be happy with what.
I mean, some leakers said that they were gonna do a Last of Us 2 on us and do Joel to Ellie, but I think that got shut down very quick after the reaction to Joel.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you first initial reactions to what happened to him in the sequel.
Oh God, I was devastated. I mean, so I had knew all the lore of the game and stuff like that before I even got around to buying it and before I even got around to watching it, and I kind of spoiled it for myself in a sense. But the game's so expensive that I didn't know when I was going to get it. So I played the first game, terrifying, but I loved it, and then obviously found out what was happening in the second game, and part of me, the death, I feel like is essential for Ellie's turnaround, but at the same time, it did ruin a lot of what they'd built up, which
Yeah.
is disappointing, obviously.
The entire game was like the I think it was the marketing team's fault in my
Yeah.
opinion. They set it up to be this grand adventure, Joel and Ellie, and there was actually a leaked trailer from it that loads of people were thinking they found a cure, so they're going to go on a hunt to find the new cure.
Yeah.
But then, in actual fact, we found out no. But then again, it's also like the clickers played nothing into the story anymore. It was
I
like,
know. I do think it is an interesting plot though, because it is almost as if Joel's kind of character arc before we see him in the first game mirrors what Ellie goes through in the second game,
mm,
with losing someone that's really important to you and thinking that killing people is the only answer, and then all of a sudden realizing that there is more humanity that's worth living for.
Yeah.
Like,
But meanwhile, during the story, I have no one left for me. You literally have Joel's brother, your wife, your kid on the way.
I know, it's insane. That's the part that did annoy me because it was as if they left, like she left as if she had nothing. And I was like, you have everything like you wanted, everything that Joel didn't have at the end of his story.
Mhm.
Like you got to live out, you got the farm that he wanted, you got all of that, and you just walked away and left it. Obviously, I understand. Like people obviously say like Dina could never understand how much Ellie actually really loved Joel, but ultimately, I feel Tommy really pressured her into making the decision that she did.
I mean, I'm gonna say this. I feel like the thing I hated most about the game was the fact, like, at the beginning, it was like, oh, Ellie didn't know this entire time about the huge twist that Joel broke her out. Meanwhile, at the end of the first game, they hinted Ellie knew what Joe did.
Yeah.
But, oh no, we need to beat down Joel because he wasn't beaten down enough by these games.
I know. I think it is. It's hard because I feel like he went through so much to get to Jackson and to get to where he was, just for it to all turn around again. But I don't know. Part of me is like, see when Owen's talking about how when he died, then the way he looked at him, like he was old and like he was ready. And I'm
Mhm.
kind of like, maybe it was like, although it wasn't the way he would have wanted to die and he wouldn't have wanted to leave Ellie
Mhm.
like that, maybe he was like ready.
I feel like if they had done it, like, I wouldn't say it was a bad death by any
Yeah.
means. No, it was a very emotional death. But I feel like if it wasn't for the fact it was, how can I say it? Like a golf club to the back of the head.
Yeah.
If it didn't feel like that in the story, then maybe it would have been better.
I feel like that's what makes it so dramatic though. Like that's what adds to it the most, like the brutality of it all. I feel like if it was just like a shot to the head, it would have
Mm,
been so much less of like a big build up
yeah,
to it. Like the build up of them like you can see with Abby, like she it's like part of her wants to stop
yeah.
and part of her doesn't, because it's like she obviously sees herself in Ellie of that desperation of losing like your father, losing your
Mm,
father figure, and she's like torn between the humanity that's inside her and the revenge that she wants. And I think it's the same throughout the
yeah.
full thing. The two of them are so similar to each other. If you put a mirror in front of the both of them, and I don't think you can paint one out as one is evil and one is
Except
good.
here's the thing. Ellie is not as big as Abby.
True. True.
Like someone made a joke online, like Ellie, this skinny, scrawny character.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Abby, jacked as hell.
Yeah, she's massive.
Like, and then again, there was also the whole fact. For me, the thing that I didn't like about it, like, I as a horror fan, I like seeing on-screen death because I like seeing that. But I feel like if they kept Joel's death, like you see Ellie's reactions, you see her emotions to it, I feel like that would have added more to it rather than just deciding, you know what, we're gonna show you his skull getting caved in by this. I was like, okay, Naughty Dog, respectfully, you're pushing your boundaries a little bit here.
Yeah, it is quite drastic. But I mean, I feel like there was quite a lot of that kind of violence already. Like with the full like David situation in the first game, like there was a lot of
Hmm.
gore. But I think it's like almost more realistic to have that. Part of
Yeah.
me thinks anyway, because as a human, there's like an instinct within you to you can be pushed to that level if like something like that happened. You could be pushed to that
Yeah.
level. Like it's just like a switch almost goes inside you.
Honestly, I feel like the name that I feel like fits best for The Last of Us Part 2 is The Last of Us Part 2. Everything you liked about the original game is now gone.
Yeah. I feel like I am a wee bit of a defender of the second game though. Just I don't know why. Like I feel like it was needed.
I,
I love Joel. Joel is like one of my favorite characters
Yeah.
in any like franchise. But I feel like his death was
Yeah.
necessary.
Admittedly, I think, truthfully, I think part two would have served it better as a part three. Because I feel like
Yeah.
that time skip kind of done a bit of damage. Like,
Uh-huh.
you grown to care for these characters, and then you time skip to the point where, oh, now you're the character
Yeah.
you played predominantly as. I feel like if they added, like, a middle part, like a proper part 2 where it picks up a few years later. Ellie's a little bit older,
Yeah.
Joel's a little bit older, but we get that sort of adventure, and it's sort of passing of the torch. Like you start off as Joel, but you slowly progress more to play as Ellie throughout the game.
Yeah.
I feel like if that happens, then I feel like it would be the perfect trilogy.
I know. I feel like there was a wee bit of like a disattachment because, like, obviously you'd seen Ellie and Joel's relationship grow so much, and it got into the point where you're like, this is like so strong, and you would have liked to explore that part of it better. And then all of a sudden it just broke down so quickly, and you never like they were so close to fixing it, and then everything just ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like as well is Naughty Dog knew what they were doing when they kept giving you the flashback scenes in part 2.
Yeah.
I felt like that the flashback scenes could have made their own game, just like part 2.
I definitely think so because I feel like there needed to be that kind of like halfway point, as you said. Like I feel that should have been more like I feel like there should have been more put onto that.
Do you know what I think it would have been a good idea? Part 2, you start off like a few months after the original, you slowly progress over time. The ending of part 2 is when Joel dies.
Yeah.
I feel like then that would set you up.
You waiting.
Yeah, that would have, and that as well as in like 3-part things, you usually leave a big cliffhanger at the end of part 2.
Because the big cliffhanger at the end of 1 was obviously that you didn't know if Joel was ever going to tell her that it had what he had done, and obviously what he'd done was drastic, but I think also really shows how much their bond had grown. Because at the start, I don't think he would have had any qualms about, I mean,
you want this child? Here, take it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe because of the full connection to obviously of having Sarah.
Yeah.
And it's like almost this like paternal instinct in him to be like that. But it's kind of been tested a lot throughout the years.
I just feel like part 2 tried to push a lot, and when it pushed, it succeeded in some elements.
Yeah.
And I liked the idea behind the story. Like, the first story is about regaining love from rage. And then the second story is about going from love to rage.
Yeah.
But I feel like they pushed so much within the story, tried to make it this big story, that they kind of, like, halfway through, they kind of started going in wibbly-wobbly lines. Like, you don't... Like, some of the times you're supposed to root for Ellie when she's killing these people, and then other times you're supposed to hate her for killing these people.
I know. I don't think I ever hated her for killing anybody. I think everything she did was mildly justifiable. Like, I don't know, because obviously when she went in and she killed the Full of Wolf, I was like, right, this is crazy. Her and Tommy taking, like, half of them out in, like, one day. But... like the lengths that she would go to for Joel, and I always think about this, like people spoke about what if it was Ellie that had been killed and it was Joel that was doing the revenge.
Oh, his fatherly instincts would have kicked in.
The game would have been finished in like half an hour.
And just if Ellie got killed, Joel would have been like, right, no, Abby, you pushed your luck.
I feel like they couldn't even have done that though, because that would just be like the man losing 2 children, and that's too much for me.
But then again, they've also released the new one where it's like a choose your own story, and you can play as Joel through The Last of Us 2, and it's like, and I'm like, so wait, this entire time you had him as a playable character in the files.
Yeah.
You just knew you wanted to annoy the fan base with this game, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it also is the same with like Arthur Morgan and Dead Red Redemption. I mean, they're 2 characters that have struggled their entire lives on the boundaries of being a good man or not. And when they finally get to that, just that little bit of thinking that they are, it's taken from them and they die. And I'm like, this redemption was useless.
Yeah, and I feel like as well it was... Though, the only thing I will say about it is hinted throughout Red Dead Redemption that you are not going to survive this. But within Last of Us, it's like,
sudden. It's so sudden.
It is the definite... I think if you look it up in the dictionary, the words heel turn, Last of Us 2 will be the description.
Yeah, definitely. I just think it's such an interesting and complex game because I know people have so much hatred towards the second game. I don't think it's deserved. I'm a defender of it.
Yeah.
I think there's good parts of it.
What do we think about the TV remake?
Oh,
The show?
the show's brilliant in my
I
opinion.
really like the show.
It's how I got introduced to The Last of Us.
My only qualms is right. So I love Bella Ramsey. I think they are a fabulous actor. But only issue is I can't see them as
Ellie.
Older
Oh,
Ellie.
older, yeah.
Younger Ellie.
Oh,
Fantastic.
she played
job.
it well.
Like
She even had the
the
voice
role-
down.
Yeah, like
But
the role.
see the amount of hate she got for the way she looks playing Ellie, that was a
But that's
big thing.
I don't think that people can hate on them for that because that's a
That's the
decision they made in
casting
production.
director's choice.
And people are saying like I see people talking about it online all the time about the other options they could have had for her, but like they people that they're saying is another option are like 40 odd now,
It's just
and they're looking at their teenage version,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you can't go back in time and change that.
Look, I think she done well, but the thing is, we're getting to season 2,
Yeah.
and it's not even like because there was rumors they were going to change it a wee bit, and season 2 would be its own thing before they get to
Yeah.
the game.
The thing that I don't understand is, right, I'm not even just saying this out of place of the love for Pedro Pascal, but ultimately, yeah, because people said he wasn't a good fit for Joel.
No, he was.
And I'm like, look at the two of them.
It was because there was such a big discussion about the folk that obviously played the game before the remake
Yeah.
and have been introduced to The Last of Us before the remake.
I mean,
And then all of a sudden the remake comes out and it's just hellfire on like every platform.
Yeah.
About the cast and
Yeah.
everything.
I mean, I'm going to say this as well. I think the thing behind Pedro Pascal as well was because of how much he was getting casted in at the time.
Yeah, I don't think that's like, this is the problem with like Hollywood though. You can't help as an actor if you're desirable.
Yeah.
You can't help if you're good and if you've had a rise to fame and you're being casted in things because you're a good actor. I think he done a really, really good job as delivering Joel. I couldn't have seen
Yeah.
anybody else as that.
I mean, I'm also like, even though I liked The Mandalorian up until the most recent season. I
Mhm.
think he done well in it.
Yeah.
Originally, when he came out, oh, he's going to be playing Mr. Fantastic. I was
Yeah.
a bit like, I don't know about that. I don't really see him as Mr. Fantastic. But then when the photos came out,
I'm very convinced by it.
yeah,
And I think he handles everything with such a level of dedication. Like, he's not even just one of those actors. It's like, you want me, so you'll take what you get.
yeah.
It's like, I'm an actor. This is my job. This is my life.
This is the
handling
character
with
I'm
So
playing.
much care. Like, he goes into every project and deep dives into the characters and really rips them apart and analyzes them. And he's like, well, wouldn't it be so, like, he was speaking about this in an interview. He was like talking about The Last of Us. He was like, well, wouldn't it be so interesting if it was like a mother and a daughter, or like something like that, like just the different ways he thinks about things.
Yeah.
I think it's so interesting. I've never like known an actor who's had so much success still be so caring to the role and so caring to the fan base.
Answer: one person and one person alone. Well, actually two. Henry Cavill
Henry
and
Cavill is another one,
Keanu
yeah,
Reeves.
Definitely. I
Even
mean,
though I don't really like most,
Mhm.
I will say I like Keanu Reeves as a person.
yeah.
Most of his newer movies I've not been a big fan
Yeah.
of. Mine is Sonic the Hedgehog of all things.
I think another thing about the Last of Us, the TV show, is I understand obviously there is a really big difference between the creation of a game and the creation of a TV show, but some scenes I think were handled a lot better in the TV show than what they were handled in the game.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that the scenes with Sam and Henry in the TV show were handled incredibly well, and I think they had a lot more emotion.
I liked the darkness of the way they
Yeah.
were portraying the games. Like, the only reason I was around you is because you're the only other gay man in this apocalypse.
Yeah.
And it's like, I liked how dark it was,
Yeah.
but in the TV show I liked how it's sort of shown like
Yeah,
how
and
even
that-
in
yeah, that's, like,
apocalypses.
another thing. Like the change in those kind of characters, but I also think the reunion of Tommy and Joel was done better in the TV show.
Oh yeah. Tommy!
That scene, like, actually,
That's one of the best.
that's the
scenes,
best scene,
Yeah.
I think, because in the game, it's literally like, he just opens the gate and he's like, oh, that's my goddamn brother. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, where's the love? Where's the, like, I've been looking for you
Yeah.
for 4 years. Like, in the show, it was like the complete wash over of like, oh my god, like, I've
And the
been
bromance
searching for you.
hug.
And it's like, they're almost just stunned that they've managed to get to this point. I think
Yeah.
that was done so well. I think the show really deep dives into like the human characterization of people, which I thought was really really good to see.
It was really good, I will admit. Hello. Sorry, I'm gonna pause this recording quickly. Sorry about that. We just had to break for a wee minute because people came in the room when we weren't expecting it. But anyways, we're back talking about nerdy stuff of Last of Us and all that. We were on Tommy.
Yeah, that scene is the best. But also, I think so. I played the game like obviously recently and the start of it, and the difference between Sarah's death in the TV show and in the game, it's so sudden and I think overlooked in the game, and in the show they're like I cry every time. Like I don't even need to hear more than like a line of the way Pedro delivered that. Like just the way he's like screaming for Tommy's help, that broke me.
I love in the game though with that death you get to interact with in the start and
Yeah.
you get to take on both characters.
Yeah,
and
actually.
and the scenario, so I feel like that's what makes it more emotional for me personally is in the game.
Mhm.
Then when it comes to the
I like how
Sarah's death.
it switches in the game. That's what I like. When you start off, you're as Sarah, and you get to like walk about, and you're almost like you get like probably about like 20 minutes just to explore what their life is like. Like you're walking about the house, you're walking about the rooms, you're like this poster's up on the wall. You get to see like all Joel's like stuff of like Texas and his guitars and like his office. And it's almost like you're getting a snippet of what it was like for them before all of this happened, and then you get Sarah's death, and you're straight into his life, post-apocalypse. Like
Yeah.
that's what I think's done really well. But also I think it's done well in the TV show because you get to see like Joel obviously is like leaving for work, like it's his birthday, like it's a lot of like everyday normal
Yeah.
stuff, and then it's all of a sudden just like
Chaos.
chaos.
I feel like, as well, I'm going to talk about The Quiet Place as well, but I feel like The Last of Us might need to take a page out of The Quiet Place's book and do a prequel. As you said, go back to the days when they're just starting.
Yeah, like I had said this to you, talking about like having another game but with Joel and Tommy when they've just left Texas and how they got to Boston, and like you were saying as well, and the Quiet Place,
Yeah.
them figuring out how they react to the new world that they're in, like see how like the clickers and stuff like that, figuring out what that was like for them,
I
and
mean, as well,
seeing all the different
I know.
types of infected, like who named the
Yeah.
infected, like who came up with those, like,
just
words?
some random guy in the woods, like with his
Yeah,
diary,
like,
and then
who
seeing
came
one
up
and
with that?
going, "Oh yeah, let's do this."
That's what I want to know, and I want to know how they met Tess, like what that relationship was like, and then I want to see like part of their smuggling days and with like the early times of like Bill and Frank and like that relationship and how they got into smuggling things and going to like the like Bill and Frank's place in like Philadelphia and like getting stuff from there. I think would be interesting to see.
I feel like as well they'll make it a bit like GTA, where it's like an open world, like you can explore, but you've got side missions in that
Yeah.
open world.
No, I would love to see like a Rockstar's games like adaptation to a like post-apocalyptic or
I'm-
apocalyptic game.
I mean, they tried that with Red Dead Zombies. Yeah,
Yeah.
they made a zombie version of Red Dead. I remember. I didn't even play it. I seen it in stores, but I was like,
Yeah,
But-
I just think it's adding an element into that that's not necessary.
I'm
but
ac-
I'd love to see a more modern day
Yeah.
version
Yeah.
similar to The Last of Us, obviously.
yeah, that
Yeah,
is fair.
I think it would be good if like a kind of Last of Us storyline was in like a free playing like mode. Like you could build your own character, make them up, have like their specialties, whatever, drop in any part of a kind of land where you're thinking, like we were speaking about this the other day, it would be interesting in a kind of Last of Us situation if you wanted to be like part of a community, if you wanted to be in a QZ, if you wanted to be out in the wilderness by yourself, if you could pick that and explore the differences between the three of them and how they would like
Yeah.
work out.
I feel like it's just like people, even though Last of Us 2, I will say, wasn't the worst game ever made, it effectively killed the Last of Us brand in a way because everyone is now so fatigued and they're worried that Oh,
I think it cut off a lot of ties for what they could have done if they had kind of said what we'd said earlier about having two being the kind of bridge,
mhm.
ending it with Joel's death, and then having the third one be Ellie's redemption of his
Yeah.
death. But I'm really
And also, please
uncertain.
remove all the sections where we play as Abby. I understand you're trying to build up like a connection with her,
the boat scene.
but mm,
Do you know, I completely forgot that was going to be in season 2, right? And I watched season 1 with my mum and dad. We loved it. And they're so excited. They know nothing about the games.
oh boy.
So I've tried to keep that a secret from them. And every time they talk about Joel, they're like, can't wait to see him in the next. And I'm like, I don't even want to say anything. But I forgot completely about the boat scene for season 2. And they're saying they're so excited to watch it and all that. And I physically don't think I can watch that with them.
I'm gonna say this. What about the sex scene in the middle of the game? Like, who decided they were gonna put that in the game?
I know, I don't even, like, it's just unnecessary, I think, like,
I feel like a lot of, well, maybe not a lot of games, but that's definitely a game where stuff wasn't really restricted in terms of.
Oh, it
Yeah.
was for the first game.
But
Yeah.
the second.
Yeah.
I mean, the first game, they didn't really give you a lot of options of who it could be with.
Yeah.
Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, there was nobody that it could be been with together that you were playing as a main character.
Oh no. I was like, the rules from PlayStation are, unless you convince us this is absolutely necessary,
Yeah.
it should not be in the game.
But I mean-
So someone had to convince PlayStation there.
But I mean, you've even said with, like, Dead Red Redemption, right? But the thing is,
Dead Red Redemption.
oh my God, Red Dead Redemption.
Redemption is
Okay.
a tongue twister.
It's
Bloopers.
such a tongue twister. Okay, because they're all like the same kind of word. Basically, in that, the connection between Arthur and Mary was never like it was never like resolved within like the game. It's just like,
But I kind of liked that.
do you like?
I liked how
see-
nothing was like consummated.
Yeah.
I don't know the word.
Consummated.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Consummated.
Part of me kind of feels like that for some of the things. I feel like things are better said, better unsaid sometimes.
That's fair.
Like, I think the connection between characters can just be like left
Mhm.
Yeah.
to whatever you think of it. I think a lot of that with Joel and Tess's relationship
Yeah,
was
that's fair.
interesting
Yeah.
because you didn't get to see much of them, but I think you could obviously tell that they cared really deeply for each other.
Especially with the scene, the bite scene.
Yeah, which I thought it would have been interesting to go further into their relationship, but then part of me is like, I don't know if it would have been. I don't know.
I'm gonna say this. I mean, you made a prequel DLC where Ellie was the main character, and you got to see her life before it. Why not make a prequel DLC for that? But
yeah, I would like to see how Joel, Tommy, and Tess, like how open Joel was to the idea of somebody else joining that dynamic, and how it was kind of like convinced,
Mhm.
and how they got to the point of like smuggling and that connection.
Where his own brother left him, and there was only them two.
Right, I need to see like something with that. I need to know what went down. I need to. know-
I feel like that would be like one of the most emotional scenes
Yeah.
in the entire prequel.
That's why I think they need
Yeah.
it. Part of me feels like there was something going on with Marlene and Tommy. How
Ooh.
easily she managed to convince that man to go with her.
Yeah.
I know.
And I'm like, and how he said to her, like, oh, Joel, like, you can rely on him anytime you need something, like, he's your man. So something tells me that something was going on between the two of them, because obviously they say about how Tommy obviously was naive enough to join the army when he was like 18 and whatever, and there was that element of
He
it.
seems
but
like one of those guys you could easily manipulate into
Yeah.
going into. Or it could be a completely different thing where he was just like, I like that, I will join that.
Yeah, but I don't know, like, I want to know these reasonings behind joining the Fireflies. Like, obviously I knew it was like partially because he thought that they could get a cure, but why did he want there to be a cure?
Yeah.
Like, why was there the difference between him and Joel, like, wanting it? Because Joel's life was ruined by infected.
Hmm.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be interesting to see what their reasonings for.
True. I feel like we've definitely talked our heaps about The Last of Us
Yeah.
here, but I feel like we might as well talk about like other as well. Like I
Mhm.
brought up Quiet Place because
Yeah.
I believe that's my favorite post-apocalyptic world because
Mhm.
truthfully I liked the first one because of how everyone still didn't know what to do because
Yeah.
it's shown you even in a world where we somewhat have a capability to understand them, we never will understand them.
Yeah, like it's like you're never going to know with like creatures like that, like what they're capable of, because they can mutate in so many different ways.
And also, don't know if this is a popular opinion, but I think that Dad's death in The Quiet Place is the better version of Joel's death, in my opinion.
That's interesting.
Giving his life to save his children. Like, if it was like a choice Joel had to make, like it was either his life or Ellie's life, I would have loved to seen it like Joel gave himself to save Ellie, because even if it still ended with the same golf club to the back of the head, I wouldn't have minded it, because it would have felt like it was in character.
Because, like, part of me obviously is like, Joel died thinking that Ellie was next. Like, that's kind of how it ended. Like, cause
he died still thinking Ellie hated him.
He died thinking that she hated him, and then died looking at her being pinned down by the same people that had just killed him. Doesn't know what they're capable of, doesn't know what to expect from them, thinking that, well, she's just going to die straight after me. And I think that's also why I think it's so sad, because of that thought he's obviously had in his head, that in the first game, the reason he tried to get Tommy to take her is because he didn't think he could protect her, and he's died not being able to protect her.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting.
It is, but I just liked, admittedly, the sequel for Quiet Place. Even though I liked it, I wasn't such a big fan of it, because it felt like it was going, it took a bit of the mystery away. Like, even though, yes, we already knew what the monsters looked like by the end of the first one, it still felt like you don't know when they're going to show up or not. But it felt like every 5 minutes they were like, ooh, sound, therefore monsters show up.
Yeah, I think something's scarier when it's like built up and it's just like the noises of you hearing them, and then you see them, like, I don't know, like once it gets to a certain point of like a build up, like the noises that the clickers make in The Last of Us scares me more than actually like
the actual clickers
more
themselves.
than actually seeing them.
The mushroom heads themselves.
Yeah, like the suspense of it is terrifying, but then when they just come out and you literally like they're
it's the suspense of it when you're playing it.
Yeah.
100%.
Your heart is like racing at your chest when you've never seen one before in the gameplay, and it's like the sounds and you're hiding and you don't want to come out because you're like, I physically can't face this right now, and then eventually you do, and it's like, whoa.
Someone made a joke online that the clickers in The Last of Us are just Toad from Mario after drugs.
Honestly. That's so real though.
Mario, I'm gonna kill you, Mario. No, someone even, no. Have you seen, there was a skit online where, I think it was Saturday Night Live or whatever, done Mario Karts?
Yeah.
But it's like The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Have you not?
No.
Have you not?
There's so many funny Saturday Night.
Can you guess who plays Mario in it?
Take a guess.
Pedro?
Yes, Pedro Pascal plays Mario in it.
He was like a guest on it?
Yes, it was.
His features on Saturday Night Live are possibly the funniest things I've ever watched.
I've never gotten into Saturday Night Live.
I've not really watched it. I've only watched it when the skits I found are like...
If there's somebody on it that I particularly want to see how like they would be, like
I've seen a few Timothée Chalamet ones.
His are quite funny. See how his one.
It's okay, I live in New York.
Yeah, his Troye Sivan one was really funny.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else I've seen. Pete Davidson.
He's funny in that. I'm gonna say this. I feel like the most I've laughed at it is when Pedro went, "It's me, Mario." I was like, why is it so good? Honestly, recast Chris Pratt and give us Pedro as Mario, and I'd be sorted.
Listen, I've never understood the casting behind Chris Pratt. I mean, like, cause like you need somebody with a bit of an accent.
Isn't Mario and Luigi Italian?
Yes.
So
I understand like not wanting to do the "It's me, Mario" for the entire movie, and honestly, I didn't mind Luigi's casting because Charlie Day was amazing as Luigi in my opinion. That's a perfect casting, but Chris Pratt, Chris Pratt.
I never understood it. I never got it. And like I feel like you need somebody with a wee bit of something to them. Like,
wee
bit of an accent,
like characterized to that role.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he was just such a random character.
And for the choice of Mario, it's Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
what?
Like, imagine they made a live version of that and it was still Chris Pratt.
No. What I'm gonna say is. The thing I think I found most funny was once they announced that, everyone started fan casting like other Nintendo properties, and for the role of Kirby, Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Literally, like it's all those things that I find so funny. It's when they miscast so badly, and I'm like, how could you have managed this?
Yeah, it is ridiculous some of the stuff they get
Yeah.
cast in.
I honestly feel like I could be a better casting director than half the casting directors in Hollywood.
You would be. You'd just be like, right, who suits the role? Chris
Pedro
Pratt,
Pascal.
get him out of here.
Pedro Pascal.
Oh no, you'd only cast Pedro Pascal, but
Listen, if he was right for the role, if he was right for the role.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, but it's so weird, I think, how all the people that he's been in movies with are, like, interconnected now. Like, you have him and, what's the guy that was in, like, Gladiator and he was in The Quiet Place just there?
I'm trying to think.
He's, like, shaved his head. What's his name?
Oh, Eddie Redmayne?
No.
The guy from Stranger Things, I'm
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
of.
yeah.
Yeah, that guy. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't even remember his name, but basically,
Yeah.
obviously, so they're going to be in Fantastic Four together.
Yeah,
They were just in Gladiator together.
yeah.
And then now him and Paul Mescal are going to be in 2 other films together this year. And I feel like we're just recycling.
I feel like he's just got good friends with them. Like, he's good
Yeah.
friends, so he's the Adam Sandler effect is basically Adam Sandler casts all of his friends in the
Yeah.
movie, so
I feel like it's just like a continuous cycle in Hollywood now. Like, you've got Austin Butler, you've got Timothée Chalamet, you've got...
I'm sorry, don't call him Austin Butler anymore. He's just Elvis now. 'Cause
Yeah,
his
literally.
accent is now so messed up from it, he can only speak in Elvis.
Transformed. If he shaved his head, have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, for
He's
Dune.
literally a bald Elvis.
It's insane.
Thank you very much.
We've
Oh.
literally, so we've got Elvis, we've got Bob Dylan.
Got bumped.
Not the Bob Dylan movie. I've
It's-
not seen it yet.
Neither have I. I'm
What's
waiting
your
to see it.
verdicts on it? Like
I've-
seeing Timothée Chalamet.
Apparently,
as-
he's supposed to be brilliant.
apparently his
I'm-
vocals are
I
good.
mean,
Yeah.
I watched him in Wonka. I know he's got good vocals.
Listen,
still.
guys,
Yeah.
do you not remember the days when he was little Timmy Tim?
I know.
God.
Like,
No.
that's the vocals.
No, I'm saying the weirdest casting for like I find it funny how so many. I'm gonna move on to the news section soon because we've only got
Yeah.
5 minutes. But I find it funny how like so many castings from biopics from musicians are either so on point
Yeah.
or so not on point.
Like the one for Amy Winehouse, I was not happy
I
about.
Yeah.
feel like it focused so much on her relationship and not her as a person.
Yeah, that's what I hate.
And
Why did they take female, like,
And guess who
biopics?
it was made by?
Who?
That's Sam Taylor Johnson.
Ice.
I hate
No.
her.
No. The one I'm always annoyed about, even though I liked the castings for it, was Bohemian Rhapsody. You know I'm a Queen
Well,
guy.
that
I-
was a
no.
good one.
No, the thing is, the original guy that got to play Freddie wanted to play him true to life. They wanted to show,
Yeah.
even though he was a brilliant man and he had a lot of good relationships, he did fuck up occasionally.
Yeah, when they don't show their faults in a biopic about them,
Yeah.
I think it's bad on the person. Like, see if you can admit that you've done bad things in your life, but ultimately you've come out on the other side of it. That's what I think, because they're making the John Lennon biopic at some point this year, and I think personally, I know for
Yeah.
a fact, John Lennon, if they didn't go into the bad parts of his life, he would feel offended by it, because he
Yeah.
tried to, in the last couple of years of his life, tried to say, I know what I've done, I've done this, I've done that, but I'm trying to better myself.
No, I think the one that's going to be dangerous, depending on what the bad parts are, is the new Michael Jackson biopic they're
Oh, is it a-
making.
Are they
Yeah,
making
it's
one?
his
No,
niece.
it's his-
No, his nephew that's
It's
playing him.
his nephew, but the scary thing is how much his nephew looks like him in the
His
movie.
nephew's, like, identical to him.
That is weird.
But I feel like it's bad because there's still a lot of stuff that's not.
But here's the
amount
thing:
of-
we talked about this in a previous. We were talking with Daniel about this in a
Yeah.
previous one, and there's a lot of people who are on that case that had said Michael had done stuff to me, who have now come out in recent years and have said he actually didn't do
Yeah.
stuff to me.
It's the same with Priscilla Presley. She wrote a book saying all this awful stuff about Elvis, and then ultimately came out and said, "Oh no, I don't know why I said that. He never done it."
And then she got a movie made about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Like, I understand there was obviously bad aspects of Elvis and her.
answer: marrying her underage.
I know, and their relationship was
Not great.
messy, to say the
Yes.
least.
But then again, as the Elvis movie proved, it was also thanks to Elvis's producer messing
Yeah.
with him
I
really
mean,
badly.
They took a vulnerable man and sculpted him into something evil. I
And
think.
and what would happen if they sculpted him into this? Answer: the Lou. You can't deny that. But
Yeah.
quickly before this ends, because I know we're gonna be going, let's
Yeah.
just get into the news section where I feel like this is going to end in a wee bit of a debate, but the 18-hour TikTok ban. I needed you guys' opinion on this
Yeah.
because I am someone who is staunchly against TikTok as an app. I do not like it, personally.
Right, for me, I think it's been beneficial for a lot of people. Personally speaking, from a point of like creating stuff on the app, it is the place where things are pushed the most. Like the stark difference between posting covers of songs on TikTok and posting them on Instagram, there's a far bigger difference
Yeah.
in the people that is reaching, the levels of people that it's reaching, and also people interacting with it. People are stingy on Instagram for some reason about watching it. They watch it and then they won't like interact with it, which
Yeah.
I never do. I think that's just stingy
Mhm.
to do to
Uh-huh.
somebody. The differences between the platforms of like the connection, I think
Yeah.
is major.
What the algorithm wants on Instagram is absolutely insane compared to what the algorithm kind of wants.
I mean, have
on-
you seen some of the comments on
TikTok.
Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram Reels is like a topic for a
Oh.
But,
different
but
day. Like,
I'd
that
love to get into Instagram Reels because
Reels
I've
are actually horrific.
no
I've
no
seen horrific
we've
ones.
either got Snapchat Reels, which I forgot existed.
I've never even knew
I
that
know.
was a
Yeah.
thing.
Then we got Instagram Reels,
Yeah.
which I use, but
I
it's
feel like they can be
Yeah.
very
it's a mixed bag.
uncensored.
Yeah.
Like
YouTube
uncensored.
YouTube Shorts, which gave birth to Skibbity Toilets, so need I say more? Need I say more?
YouTube Shorts is literally like shows you a clip of like the worst movie you've ever watched in your life, and it gets you hooked onto it, and you need
Yeah.
to try find the next part.
And then it's also got Subway Surfers underneath
yeah,
it.
underneath it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what's happening
And then
right now?
and then we've got TikTok, which is the birth of all this. Like
Yeah.
I've said in the past I want to do stand up, and one of my skits is how every new app wants to copy a certain app.
Yeah.
Like at first, every app wanted to copy Instagram, hence why we got Snapchat, newer versions of Facebook, and all of that.
Yeah.
Then TikTok came out, and every app wanted to copy that.
Yeah.
But yeah, very fun. That's the bell. Right, shall we just do the sound off then, just
Yeah.
before? All right. This has been Just Shut Up and Talk with our special guests.
Ayla.
And Ella.
And just remember to shut up and talk with your friends, and hopefully maybe we'll get more of this, because we barely got it through anything yet again.
We need a part 3.
No,
Part
wait till I get through another few episodes,
Yeah.
then we'll do a part
Then
3.
We'll come back, we'll feature again.
Yes, hopefully with Aiden next time as well.
Yeah.
All right, so long everyone, and just remember to shut up and talk with your friends.